One of the most emotionally taxing encounters a person may go through is handling a narcissist. These people get their kicks from control, self-centeredness, and manipulation, as well as from their continuous desire for approval. Navigating relationships with narcissists can be difficult, particularly if one's own inclination is toward empathy or reason. When you are pushed to the brink, though, what follows? If you wish to emotionally destroy a narcissist, bring them to their knees, and cause them to experience the suffering they so often cause others? This is not a simple road. Hence, even if it's natural to want retribution, handling a narcissist calls serious consideration. How then may you undermine a narcissist? And what shockingly is the reality about their weaknesses? Under their grandiose appearances, narcissists are delicate people by nature. The unexpected fact is that their sense of self is often based on unstable foundation, even if they seem strong, confident, and in charge. Their superiority complex serves to cover underlying fears. This is the reason narcissists respond so strongly to challenges to their power, criticism, or any sign of rejection. Understanding how to undermine a narcissist depends on knowing this, but it also begs a serious question. Is it worth it? The first and most important thing you have to understand is that a narcissist's whole life is based on affirmation and control. Every action they do is deliberate to feed their ravenous ego. They start to fall apart if you remove the validation they so yearn for. Being revealed for the delicate people they are makes narcissists afraid. Hence, any challenge to their inflated self-perception may be rather destructive to them. This does not mean, however, you should slink to their level or get caught in a game of emotional control. Rather than aggressively trying to damage them, the true power resides in knowing their shortcomings and using that information to guard yourself. Furthermore, crucial is knowledge of supply and demand dynamics in the environment of a narcissist. Narcissists see individuals as supplyable, or tools to feed their ego, validation, and sense of superiority. Should you be able to shut off this source, they will suffer greatly. Many people find themselves in situations where they cannot just walk away. Be it a poisonous romantic relationship, a controlling family member, or an aggressive boss. The true challenge is found here. Hurting a narcissist usually requires stepping away from their game totally, not only from outright confronting them. Enforcing limits, boundaries that guard your own emotional well-being, and therefore undermine a narcissist's craving for control, is one of the best ways to damage them. Boundaries are hated by narcissists, since they mean they cannot influence or control you. For them, control is absolutely vital. The startling fact is that although they seem strong, narcissists fall apart when they cannot control the parameters of a relationship. You remove their authority by laying unambiguous, relentless limits. This does not mean, however, they will give up quickly. Anticipate them to constantly test, challenge your limits, and try to break through again. Narcissists enjoy disorder and control. When they feel they are losing their hold, they will usually become more aggressive. Setting limits so calls for a strong sense of self and an unquestionable will to keep them. Another very effective weapon for handling a narcissist is indifference. At first, this seems contradictory since, after all, indifference cannot harm anyone. For a narcissist who depends on validation and attention, indifference can be like a dagger to the heart. Ignoring their provocations, declining to participate in their drama, and demonstrating to them that you simply don't care will send them spinning. When you deny them the emotional reaction they want for, they start to feel vulnerable, helpless, and irrelevant, that they are not the center of your world. When the spotlight is taken away from narcissists, they go through a great sense of loss and uncertainty. They are addicts to it. That said, this road is not a simple one. It is difficult to be indifferent to someone who has seriously emotionally hurt you. Masters at pressing emotional buttons, narcissists frequently know just what to say or do to set off a reaction. Still, the power resides in your capacity to see this trend and reject to engage in the game. Many times, the narcissist may intensify their actions in an effort to set off further provocation of you. They might turn to insults, emotional manipulation, or perhaps phony charm meant to win you over. Keep grounded, keep indifferent, and see how their influence over you melts. Here's where things get sticky, though. When you begin to distance yourself from a narcissist or set limits, They will often manifest as narcissistic rage. Their fragile ego feeling under threat drove this response. The narcissist might initiate a smear campaign, scream in rage, or try to present herself as the victim. This is a crucial realization. Their anger is not directed toward you. It's about their incapacity to shape the story and their inner world disintegrating. You keep more influence over the circumstances the more emotionally you can separate yourself from their assaults. You might now be asking whether there is a more direct approach to undermine a narcissist. Could you call them out on their lies, expose them for who they truly are, or target their fears? The quick response is, you could, but it's not usually wise. Highly adept at diverting remorse or responsibility for their actions, narcissists can turn events around and help others feel bad or guilty. Should you face them head-on, you could find yourself the one portrayed as the aggressor. Worse, narcissists are quite spiteful and could pursue retribution in ways that would emotionally, socially, or professionally further damage you. The big surprise is that although narcissists seem strong and confident, they are typically rather weak. Direct confrontation of them could backfire and do more damage than benefit. That's not to suggest that revealing their lies will have no effect on them. Many times it profoundly does. But narcissists may react to criticism by doubling down on their false narratives or withdraw into their own delusions. Sometimes they will go to tremendous lengths to preserve their delicate sense of self, even if it means fabricating stories or using others to cover the reality from view. Once more, this is where indifference and limits apply. The aim is to guard oneself from more damage rather than eradicate the narcissist. Success without them is another strong but sometimes disregarded method to damage a narcissist. Often quite jealous, narcissists find nothing more than watching someone they have tried to control or influence flourish in life free from their influence to sour their ego. Their sense of superiority suffers when you can prove on your own that you are successful, competent, and happy. When you show them wrong by moving on, succeeding, and living your best life, narcissists, who believe they are indispensable, may find great emotional hurt. One of the most severe ways to offend them is to show them you do not need them, since they want to believe you do. But here is the ultimate and maybe most crucial truth. Your main objective should not be to injure a narcissist. Although seeking payback or retribution for the suffering they have caused is normal, concentrating on harming them just keeps you bound to their negative energy. Breaking free from their influence, recuperating from the emotional scars they have left behind, and starting your life in a new and healthy direction marks the actual triumph. Although they cannot change, trying to defeat narcissists at their own game can be a risky and emotionally draining effort. Focus on safeguarding yourself, maintaining your limits, and creating a life free from their influence instead of trying to damage them. The startling reality is that stopping yourself from worrying about damaging a narcissist is the best approach to inflict damage on them. They live on attention, drama, and emotional involvement. They lose their power over you when you deny them that. Ultimately, removing yourself from the flame totally is the best approach to cope with a narcissist, rather than engaging in counterattacks. And when you do, the narcissist, in all their grandiosity, will find only their own reflection.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm really glad you've decided to join us today. We cover a lot of fascinating topics here, and I promise you, today's discussion is no exception. Before we dive in, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future videos. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to ring that bell so you'll get notified whenever we upload new content. Alright, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about something that's as intriguing as it is troubling. What happens when a relationship with a narcissist comes to an end? Relationships, as we all know, can be complex and emotionally charged. But when you add a narcissist into the mix, the dynamics shift dramatically. A breakup with a narcissist isn't just your average end to a relationship. It's a whole different ballgame with layers of psychological maneuvering and emotional manipulation that can leave a lasting impact. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly makes a narcissist so different in the context of a breakup? It all boils down to the core of their personality. Narcissists are often charming, charismatic, and confident on the surface, but underneath that exterior lies a deep need for validation and admiration. They thrive on attention, and they see themselves as superior to others. This sense of superiority and entitlement doesn't just vanish when a relationship ends. In fact, it can intensify, leading to some pretty unsettling behavior. When a narcissist faces the end of a relationship, the first thing you'll likely notice is their shock and disbelief. For most people, breakups are hard, but they also understand that relationships can end for many reasons. Narcissists, on the other hand, often view themselves as perfect. The idea that someone would choose to leave them doesn't just hurt their feelings, it shatters their carefully constructed self-image. They might refuse to accept that the relationship is over, launching into a campaign to win their partner back, not out of love, but to regain control and maintain their self-image. This initial phase can be confusing for their partner. You might receive a flood of messages, unexpected visits, or grand gestures that seem out of character, especially if the narcissist was emotionally distant or abusive during the relationship. But here's the thing, these actions aren't about reconciling or fixing what was wrong. Instead, they're a desperate attempt to restore the narcissist's sense of power. They can't stand the idea of losing control over someone they once dominated. As the reality of the breakup sets in, the narcissist might shift gears. The next phase often involves blame shifting. A narcissist will rarely, if ever, take responsibility for the end of a relationship. Instead, they'll start to rewrite the narrative, casting themselves as the victim. In their version of events, their ex-partner becomes the villain, ungrateful, unreasonable, or even unstable. This isn't just about protecting their ego, it's also a tactic to isolate their ex and control the narrative around the breakup. By making their ex out to be the bad guy, they ensure that they come out of the situation looking as good as possible, at least in their own eyes. But the blame game doesn't stop there. Narcissists often go a step further by launching a smear campaign. This is where things can get really nasty. They might start spreading rumors, sharing private details, or even outright lies to tarnish their ex's reputation. This behavior can be incredibly damaging, especially if the narcissist has a large social network or uses social media to broadcast their version of events. The goal here isn't just to hurt their ex, it's to maintain their own image by making sure everyone else sees them as the victim or the wronged party. It's a twisted way of keeping the upper hand, even after the relationship is over. What makes this smear campaign so effective is that it plays on the narcissist's ability to manipulate others. Remember, narcissists are often very charming and persuasive. They know how to play on people's emotions and can easily convince others that they're in the right. This can leave their ex feeling isolated, misunderstood, and even doubting their own experiences. It's a deeply hurtful and disorienting experience that can take a long time to recover from. Now, let's talk about another tactic that narcissists often use post-breakup, hoovering. This term comes from the vacuum cleaner brand, and it's pretty fitting because it describes how a narcissist will try to suck their ex back into their orbit. Even after a relationship has ended, a narcissist might not be ready to let go. They'll reach out with sweet messages, apologies, or promises of change. Anything to draw their ex back in. But it's important to understand that these gestures aren't genuine. The narcissist isn't interested in making things right, they just want to regain control. It's a cycle of manipulation that's all too easy to get caught up in if you're not careful. Hoovering can be particularly tricky because it often comes after a period of intense negativity. After being blamed, smeared, and isolated, their ex might feel relieved to receive some positive attention again. It can feel like a lifeline, a chance to mend what was broken, but it's just another trap. Once the narcissist feels like they have their ex back under control, the same patterns of abuse and manipulation will start all over again. It's a vicious cycle that can be incredibly difficult to break. But what happens when hoovering doesn't work? What does a narcissist do when they realize they've lost control for good? This is where things can take an even darker turn. If a narcissist feels truly powerless, they might escalate their behavior in more dangerous ways. Stalking, harassment, and even threats aren't out of the question. It's a last-ditch effort to maintain some semblance of control, and it can be incredibly frightening for their ex. This is why it's so important to take steps to protect yourself if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist. Cutting off contact completely, changing your routine, and seeking legal protection if necessary can help keep you safe. Another thing that often happens when a narcissist realizes they've lost control is that they'll quickly move on to someone new. This is one of the most confusing aspects of dealing with a narcissist. They can seem to move on from a relationship in the blink of an eye. But this isn't about love or even attraction, it's about finding a new source of validation. Narcissists need a constant supply of admiration and attention to feel good about themselves. When one relationship ends, they'll often have another one lined up, ready to fill the void. This rapid transition can be incredibly painful for their ex, who might still be processing the end of the relationship while the narcissist is already flaunting their new partner. It's a tactic that's designed to provoke jealousy and hurt, but it also serves another purpose. It helps the narcissist maintain their sense of superiority. By quickly moving on, they reinforce the idea that they are desirable and that the breakup was somehow their ex's loss, not theirs. But here's the thing, these new relationships are rarely any healthier than the ones that came before. Narcissists don't change, they just repeat the same patterns with new people. Their new partner will likely go through the same cycle of idealization, devaluation, and discard that their ex experienced. It's a never-ending loop that keeps the narcissist at the center of their own universe, with everyone else just playing a supporting role. While the narcissist moves on quickly, their ex is often left to pick up the pieces. Dealing with the aftermath of a relationship with a narcissist can be incredibly challenging. The emotional and psychological wounds can run deep, leaving scars that take a long time to heal. Many people who have been in relationships with narcissists report feeling confused, self-doubtful, and anxious long after the relationship has ended. The narcissist's tactics, whether it's blame-shifting, smear campaigns, or hoovering, can leave their ex feeling like they're the problem, even when they know deep down that they were being manipulated. Recovering from a relationship with a narcissist requires a lot of self-care and support. It's important to surround yourself with people who understand what you've been through and who can help you rebuild your sense of self. Therapy can be incredibly helpful in this process, as it provides a safe space to explore the impact of the relationship and develop strategies for moving forward. It's also crucial to practice self-compassion. Recognize that you were dealing with someone who was highly skilled at manipulation, and don't be too hard on yourself for falling into their traps. One of the most important steps in healing is learning to trust yourself again. Narcissists are experts at making their partners doubt their own perceptions and feelings. Rebuilding that trust in yourself can take time, but it's a vital part of the recovery process. Start by acknowledging your feelings and validating your own experiences. You don't need anyone else's approval to know what you went through was real and that it had a significant impact on you. Another key aspect of recovery is setting boundaries. Narcissists often blur the lines between acceptable and unacceptable behavior, leaving their partners unsure of where they stand. After the relationship ends, it's crucial to establish clear boundaries to protect yourself from further harm. This might mean cutting off all contact with the narcissist, avoiding places where you might run into them, and not engaging with any attempts they make to reconnect. It's also important to give yourself time to grieve. Even if the relationship was toxic, it's normal to feel a sense of loss when it ends. You might mourn the person you thought they were, or the future you had imagined together. Allow yourself to feel those emotions without judgment, and know that it's all part of the healing process. As you move forward, remember that you deserve healthy, loving relationships. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that all relationships will be as chaotic and painful as the one you had with the narcissist, but that's not true. With time and healing, you can rebuild your life and find relationships that are based on mutual respect and care. In the end, the best way to deal with a breakup with a narcissist is to focus on yourself. Narcissists are all about control and attention. Don't give them the satisfaction of continuing to dominate your thoughts and emotions. Instead, channel your energy into rebuilding your life, pursuing your passions, and surrounding yourself with people who lift you up. The road to recovery might be long, but with each step, you'll get closer to the peace and happiness you deserve.